Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something, well, pretty fundamental to daily life for literally billions of people. Social media.
Billions is right. We're talking, what, nearly 4.9 billion users last year?
Yeah, something like that. And spending, on average, around 145 minutes, that's over 2 hours, scrolling, posting, connecting every single day.
It's huge. And, as our sources from UC Davis Health point out, it's a real mixed bag, a double-edged sword, really.
Definitely. On one hand, it's amazing for connection, for staying informed.
Absolutely. Unprecedented ways to connect.
But then there's the other side, the potential impact on our mental well-being. And that's what we really want to dig into today.
Right. Understand how it affects us and maybe find some practical ways to navigate it a bit more safely.
Exactly. Kind of get a clear picture of our own digital habits. We're using insights from UC Davis Health for this.
A really helpful framework. So should we start with those mental health impacts?
Okay, let's unpack this. A big one seems to be the link between social media use and, well, increased anxiety and depression, especially for teens and young adults.
Yes, that correlation keeps showing up in research. And a key part of why seems to be how these platforms tap into our brain's reward system.
The dopamine loop.
Exactly, that whole system that makes us seek out pleasure, repeat things that feel good. Social media is frankly brilliantly designed to trigger dopamine hits.
Those little pings, the likes, the comments.
Yeah, each notification is like a tiny reward signal. It reinforces the behavior.
Well, what happens when you post something and you expect that validation, that flood of likes and crickets?
Well, that's the potential downside for self-worth, isn't it? If you start tying your value too closely to those external digital cues, not getting them can really sting. It can lead to feelings of inadequacy, disappointment.
And then you might find yourself chasing that feeling, checking more often.
Precisely. It can become a cycle. And if the rewards are unpredictable, it can mess with your mood overall. It's similar mechanics to other reward-seeking behaviors, really.
And then there are the filters.
Yeah.
This is huge, right? On platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, altering your appearance is just normal now.
Oh, completely. And while it might seem like just a bit of fun, the ease of changing how we look creates what UC Davis Health calls false illusions. It's a good term for it.
False illusions. Yeah. Because you're constantly seeing these, well, digitally perfected versions of people, including yourself sometimes.
And that constant exposure, it can subtly, or not so subtly, shift what we think looks normal or, desirable.
And that chips away at how you feel about your actual self.
Yeah.
Right? Comparing your real face, your real body to these often unattainable filtered images. It can really breed self-consciousness.
Serious dissatisfaction, yeah. It's setting yourself up against an impossible, often incompletely fabricated standard.
Which ties straight into the next big thing, FOMO.
The fear of missing out, yes. Social media feeds are basically highlight reels, aren't they?
Totally. It's the vacations, the parties, the promotions. You rarely see someone posting about, doing laundry or being bored.
Exactly. So you scroll through this curated perfection, and it's really easy to start feeling like everyone else is living this amazing, exciting life.
Yours feels kind of meh.
In comparison.
Yeah. Feelings of inadequacy, dissatisfaction with your own perfectly normal life. It's a common trap.
And that FOMO feeling, it makes you want to check more, doesn't it? Like you're afraid you'll miss the next exciting thing if you look away.
It's a powerful driver. Keeps you glued to the screen, trapped in that cycle.
It really is a cycle. But the negativity isn't just about comparisons, sadly. There's also cyberbullying. A
very serious issue. The definition being, repeated intentional harassment using electronic devices.
And that statistic you mentioned, 44% of U.S. internet users reporting online harassment back in 2020. That's almost half. It's staggering. It really is. And social media platforms, unfortunately, can be hotspots for this. The reach, sometimes the anonymity, it can amplify the harm.
You make it feel inescapable.
And the impact can be really damaging, leaving, lasting emotional scars for people who are targeted.
It's just a stark reminder that these spaces for connection can also be places where really hurtful stuff spreads fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot of the potential negative side. Heavy stuff. Let's pivot though. What can we actually do about it? What are some strategies for, safer use?
Well, a really fundamental one, highlighted in our sources, is maybe the most obvious, but also really effective. Just cutting back on screen time.
Right, just less time scrolling overall. Seems simple, but probably hard in practice for many.
It can be. But it doesn't have to be about quitting entirely, you know? It's about being more intentional. Using those built-in phone features to set time limits on specific apps, that's a practical start.
Or maybe just setting rules, like, okay, phone goes away during dinner.
Yeah.
Or no checking social media first thing in the morning.
Exactly. Designating specific times for social media rather than letting it bleed into everything else. It helps break that constant, almost unconscious checking habit. Gives your brain a break.
Okay, that makes sense. What else? There was something about curating your feed.
Yes, this is a great one. Actively managing who you follow.
Like going through your list.
Yeah, taking a look at the accounts you follow, the people you're connected with, and asking yourself, how does seeing this content actually make me feel?
And if the answer is bad or anxious or less than?
Then maybe unfollow or mute that account. It's about consciously shaping your online environment so it's less likely to trigger those negative feelings, whether it's comparison, negativity, whatever.
A kind of digital spring clean for your mental health. I like that.
That's a good way to put it. And then maybe the most important strategy, prioritizing offline stuff. Real-world connections and activities.
Getting back to basics, sort of.
You could say that. Things like, going for a hike, having a picnic, painting, playing pickleball.
Reading an actual book.
Yeah.
Walking the dog.
All those things. They're not just ways to kill time. They actively boost your mental health. And often your physical health, too.
Right, there's often that double benefit. Getting outside, moving your body, connecting with people face to face.
Exactly. Those in-person connections are so important. They can be a powerful antidote to the feelings of isolation that, ironically, too much social media time can sometimes fuel.
So it's really about striking a better balance and making sure life isn't just lived through a screen.
Finding that balance. And, that leads to the need for some self-reflection. We all need to kind of evaluate our own relationship with social media.
Because it's not one size fits all, is it? What works for one person might not work for another.
Not at all. It's personal. You need to honestly ask yourself, how does using these platforms actually make me feel? Am I constantly comparing? Am I anxious if I haven't checked my phone?
Do I feel more isolated despite being connected online? Those kinds of tough questions.
And sometimes the answer might be that things feel overwhelming, that the impact is significant. And that's when seeking professional help is really important.
Absolutely. If you're really struggling with serious anxiety, depression, feelings of hopelessness, things that are really getting in the way of daily life, the advice is clear.
Reach out, talk to your primary care doctor. They can assess the situation and guide you towards treatment options.
It's not a weakness, it's actually a sign of strength and self-awareness to ask for help when you need it.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've covered a lot. The complex impact social media has, that dopamine hook, the pitfalls of filters and FOMO, the real harm of cyberbullying.
And importantly, those actionable strategies. Cutting back screen time, curating your feed, really leaning into offline life and connections.
It boils down to being more mindful, more intentional about how we engage online, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Just being aware of the potential downsides is a huge first step towards using social media in a way that actually supports our well-being rather than undermining it.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As social media keeps evolving, keeps integrating itself even deeper into our lives, how can we proactively build digital habits that are truly mindful? Habits that prioritize our genuine well-being over just chasing that fleeting online validation?
That's the ongoing question, isn't it? Something to keep thinking about long after this conversation ends.